Good morning, MFFLers. Today is your Week 4 review coming at you live from sunny Indiana, where the fall weather is just kicking in hardcore and it's just so great, really, to be a war pig. Because last night on Monday Night Football, which I wasn't even watching, the War Pigs somehow pulled off the win. Thanks to some amazing defense from the Minnesota Vikings. I'd like to say personally, from my heart, thank you so much. Anyway, this week we've got the league standings in the Superstar Division. We've got the War Pigs at 3-1. We've got the Biohazards creeping up to 2-2. Bourbonites in a heartbreaking loss, falling to 1-3. The Broad Street Bullies continue their free fall into horribleness at 0-4. And most importantly, this week, we've got the division records really starting to be important here. In the division, the War Pigs are 2-0. The Biohazards and the Bourbonites are 1-1, and obviously the Bullies are 0-2. Will I keep talking like this the whole time? Maybe! Now, we've got the All-American division. The Kielbasa Kings go to 3-1. Bad Company stays with them. Best Buddies for 3-1. The Fighting Sioux fall to 2-2. That's a rough one with that many points. And the Cartel at 1-3. Then we've got the Power Pack division. Untouchables at 4-0. Bionic Commandos at 4-0. And Lead Dogs at 1-3. Fury at 0-4. Dichotomy in the division right there. Now let's scroll down here and look at the interesting. We've got some power ranking issues here. Not issues, some standings. And points-wise, we've got Untouchables, Fighting Sioux, who are 2-2. That's why it's rough. War Pigs and Bionic Commandos. You can see some people get screwed, some people don't, some people just suck. Anyway, waiver wire's in order, ready to go this week, and on we'll go to our summary of scoring. I'm going to stop talking like this now. This is really annoying, and I'm sure that probably everybody found it annoying except for Tim. He probably loved it. So, first game, we had the aforementioned Bourbonites at the War Pigs, and like I said, this came down to craziness on Monday Night Football. All the Bourbonites needed, I'm not sure on yardage here, but all the Bourbonites needed was 4 points, 40 yards for Odell Beckham Jr. He had 23. I was surprised as anyone. I was at the movies. I wasn't even watching the football game because I assumed I would lose after getting a 0 from my fucking kicker. So yeah, that was a big surprise. I couldn't believe it. Needless to say, I'm pretty happy about it. But Bourbonites had 25 from Bortles in London. That was a huge game for him. Melvin Gordon with 19's good. Gore even had 14. Demaryius Thomas had 15. Now, and Tim wanted me to point out that I keep glossing over kicker and defense unless they've made a huge difference. And normally I agree. But this point, going to the War Pig side here, I had 0 from my 2.00 salaried kicker, which is insane. And I really thought that was going to cost me the game. Probably should have, but it didn't. So I guess they don't matter. I don't know. How about he gets a few points from me next week? I'll take that. Big Ben, 34. That's the comeback start right there for the Pigs. 34 points for Ben. Should have been even more. Jordan Howard for Chicago, 13. Kristen Michael with 14. I'm pretty happy with those two guys coming out of nowhere for the most part. On the receiving side, no. 4-2 for Benjamin and Parker. Jordan Reed, 19, finally stepped up, had a big week. Tim hates him, thinks he sucks, but that's all right. 19 for Reed, and 1 point win for the Pigs. Let's see, looking at benches here, there's nothing. Nothing going on there, all single digits. Next, we've got the Cartel at Bad Company. Now, this was a really close game again, so a number of close games this week. Cartel falling to 1-3. This is a really heartbreaker for him. Phillip Rivers was 20, was pretty good. But Garrett Blount and all of New England, that was just garbage. I don't know what happened in that game. I understand you've got a third-string quarterback, but come on. 5 points for Blount. Matt Jones blew up for 19. Sterling Shepard didn't do much either. He only had 3. Another game that somebody needed a big game from wide receivers from the Giants. I guess Eli sucks. Greg Olsen had 15. That's a really good game. The winning side, Bad Company, had Jameis Winston. See, dude, you didn't need the other quarterback. C.J. Anderson with 10. Darkwa with 10. DeAndre Hopkins, 0. He didn't get hurt, did he? It says 4 receiving yards. What happened there? Houston had 27 points. He didn't get anything? Wow. Julio Jones made up for that just a little bit. 36 freaking points. Dude went off. 300 receiving yards. That's just... I don't know what to say. That's ridiculous. Kobe Fleener didn't do anything, and there you go. 4-point win for Bad Company. Sitting on the bench for the Cartel. 17 for Terrence West, and yes, that would have made the difference. Also 17 for Steve Smith, senior, for Bad Company there. So that would have made a difference too, but he didn't need it. On to the Fighting Sioux. Pretty sure that was his worst week of the year. Still 71, but the Kings had 90. Three-way tie for most points this week. Kings, Biohazards, and War Pigs all had 90. That's pretty crazy. Cam Newton hurt again. Carolina did not look good again. Ends up with 15. Carlos Hyde, good game for 13. McKinnon, 15. Really good game. Antonio Brown with 18. Obviously, good game. Deshaun Jackson, 0. Gronkowski, 1. Obviously, he's not ready for primetime yet. So that's your Sioux recap. Kielbasa Kings, 19 for Andrew Luck. Now, he really was looking rough there and scored a couple touchdowns late, even though the Colts lost because they suck. Lamar Miller with only 10. DeMarco Murray with 23. He continues to show what he's got there in Tennessee. Marvin Jones only was 7. Allen Robinson with 11 is good. 9 for Zach Miller. Let's see, on the bench for the Sioux, game-making difference, Michael Crabtree. I think he just picked up. Why wouldn't you start him, dude? Why would you start old man Deshaun Jackson with a shitty Kirk Cousins? Instead, he sits Crabtree, who ends up with 26. Obviously, that's not going to happen every week, but that's a huge week. Also, Dorsett with 12 on the bench. On the Kings side, Emmanuel Sanders was 14, and Martellus Bennett, again, playing much better than Gronk, because I assume Gronk is slow to come back here, and Martellus Bennett had 10. All right. The lead dogs with the worst score of the week. 15 points for concussion Carson Palmer, and then you get some bums. Running backs, this is an awful, awful line. No one in the double digits except for Carson Palmer. You get 3 points combined for running backs, 10 points combined for wide receivers, only because Michael Floyd scored. That's just putrid. Bionic Commandos, easy win, obviously. Had 80, would have lost to a few teams this week, but played the right guy at the right time. 16 for Breeze. Isaiah Crowell, another great game, 20 points. Mark Ingram for 15. T.Y. Hilton for 10. Amari Cooper losing some mojo there to Crabtree, but that's all right. On the bench, Russell Wilson had 24 for the lead dogs, and Wheaton had 11 for the Commandos. All right. Fury at Untouchables. Fury falls to 0-4. It doesn't look like any moves are going to be made here. I'm not sure if Fury's playing for a first-round pick next year or what's going on. Cody Kessler as your quarterback with 12. Obviously, Rodgers on bye, so you didn't have much choice there. Still no help in the running back department. 7-5 for Riddick and Duke Johnson. Those are pretty much bums. Brandon Cooks is the big surprise with only 3 points. Brandon Marshall did well with 14. Kyle Rudolph scored with 11. That's only 69. Not completely horrible, but not a good score. 86 for untouchables. Keeps his record spotless. 11 for Stafford. How you can't score in Chicago if you're Detroit? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Forte got hurt. He only had 3. LaShawn McCoy was 16. A.J. Green with a huge 23. Terrell Pryor, fuck that guy. Still had 10, though. Travis Kelce, 8. Matt Bryant, I'll mention because he had 12. As a kicker, Dak Prescott on the bench for the Untouchables had 17. Devonta Freeman with 11. T.J. Yeldon with 11. Just a Jimmy Graham with 11. Everybody had 11 on the bench. And the Fury had Will Fuller with 14 on the bench. Let's see here. Last game of the week. Bullies at Biohazard. Bullies also shooting for that number 1 draft pick next year. Joe Flacco, good game with 23. Jeremy Hill, Cincinnati didn't do shit on the ground. 7 for Hill on the bench. He had Gio at 3. Didn't matter which one you picked. Latavius Murray, I see 1 point. Did he get hurt? I didn't hear that. How do you have 1 point and you're a running back and your team had 28? I don't know what happened. Kelvin Benjamin, only 9. Corey Coleman, 0. He knew he was hurt. Didn't feel like helping himself. Decided to keep 2 Philadelphia receivers on the bench instead of picking up somebody else. Are you surprised you're on 4? I don't know. Yeah, so that's a pitiful 59 for the Bullies. Biohazards had it easy. Matt Ryan with 37 blew up. Le'Veon Bell came back 17. David Johnson with a decent 12. But then you get Stephon Diggs again with a shit game, 4 points. Jarvis Landry with only 6. Tammy did catch a touchdown, but that's all he did. So top heavy board for Biohazards there. Now on the bench, Bullies didn't have anything. Ezekiel Elliott sitting on the bench for Biohazards. So obviously he's got some luxuries there. 20 points for Elliott on the bench. Charles Sims with 2 on the bench. Oh, why am I mentioning that? Because that's personal. That's why I'm mentioning that. He didn't do shit. Alan Hearns with 10. All right. So that's your weekly recap. And looking forward to next week, I just thought I would mention this. On the mobile app, you can actually, which I didn't know until today, I'm trying to look ahead to see what the next matchup is. On the mobile app, you can change the week of on scores. Change the week, go to the next one, and you'll see who you're playing. And I thought that was pretty cool. Right now, we've got week 5 matchups. We've got the Cartel at Lead Dogs. Lead Dogs again. Sorry, dude. Lead Dogs, Bad Company, and Bionic Commandos. We got Bourbonites and Untouchables, War Pigs and the Fury, Bullies and the Sioux, Biohazards and the Kings. If I had to say right now, let's look and see what they are. The system has the Cartel by 23 over the Lead Dogs. That's hard to say. That's not going to happen. I agree with that one. The site has Bad Company over Bionic Commandos. Now, part of that is because the Commandos have Breeze and Ingram on a bye, so that could be interesting right there. That's going to be rough. Bourbonites and Untouchables. The site has Untouchables big by 17 over the Bourbonites. But that's because Bortles is on bye for the Bourbonites, so I'm not sure about that one yet. Pigs at Fury. I know the Pigs because I own them. Are going to have one running back issue this week unless Foster plays. Other than that, everybody else comes back. And the matchup's interesting because the Fury's best player, Aaron Rodgers, will be throwing hopefully a lot to Jordy Nelson. So that's an advantage for the Pigs there. Bullies and Sioux. Sioux's big according to the system. Hard to argue when the Bullies don't seem like they want to help themselves too much. Although Cam Newton is questionable. Pretty sure he's in the concussion protocol. Pretty sure they won't give a shit because he's their franchise player and they'll do it anyway, regardless of all this health bullshit the NFL is trying to push. And then one of the best matchups, I think, of the week is the Hazards and the Kings. Although the Kings have Allen Robinson on bye, but it looks like the Hazards are fully loaded. So right now you got to lean toward the Hazards in that department. So it's a good week coming up. Good luck, everyone, and I'll see you next week.